We Cause Learning to Happen, a showcase of instructional excellence at Coral Mountain Academy. Welcome to Coral Mountain Academy, where we don't just teach, we cause learning to happen. Here at CMA, we are proud to be part of the Coachella Valley Unified School District, and even prouder to live out the district's vision through our commitment to the CVUSD Instructional Framework. Each day, teachers and staff arrive excited to meet with our students and work on our own learning intentions. We are intentionally implementing CVUSD's framework to guide and enhance our instructional practices and deepen student impact. We are growing as responsive and reflective educators committed to student success at the highest level. Our success criteria guides us towards excellence. We know we're successful because we provide lesson clarity. We excel in lesson delivery. We integrate instructional scaffolds and supports. We focus on instructional priorities. We have collective efficacy. We cause learning. At Coral Mountain, we begin with clarity. Our teachers anchor every lesson in clearly defined learning intentions and success criteria, ensuring students understand what they're learning and why it matters. From daily rigorous learning to student-friendly goals, clarity creates confidence.
So learning intentions and success criteria have impacted student engagement and learning in my classroom. My students are able to participate in stating what they are learning and why, and students can set goals based on what they still need to practice and learn. I feel that I'm more confident that my students are making connections and they can voice what they are learning and why.
I am learning the letter Q. I can name words that begin with Q.
It has been quite a journey with learning intentions and success criteria this year. As many teachers, I felt overwhelmed and thought to myself, another thing to do. But now I see it as a way to organize the introduction of the lesson and the end result for the students to see in student-friendly language. Having to see the end result in the success criteria really helps pinpoint what the students will learn. Also, it allows me to have the students interact with themselves and AB partners and tell each other the success criteria and what they will be learning.
Intención de aprendizaje. Y escuchen lo que voy a decir, ¿ok? Primero yo. Yo estoy aprendiendo a nombrar a los personajes y el ambiente del cuento. ¿Listos? Ahora vamos a hacer A, B parejas. ¿Listos? Ahora vamos a ver los criterios de éxito.
Yo estoy aprendiendo a leer textos en fluidez.
Estoy aprendiendo a contar el valor total de monedas y billetes.
Estoy aprendiendo a contar el valor de monedas y billetes.
It just felt like a lot of extra work, but once you get going with it, it kind of starts taking care of itself. So you start doing it automatically. Has it had a positive effect on my teaching? I feel it has. I feel that with the kids knowing what they're going to be learning for that particular topic and then having a criteria to see if they're actually getting it is really helpful to the kids. Our coaches have been right there for us every time we've had any kind of issues implementing LI and SC into our instruction. They've also been gracious enough to create all sorts of graphics around LI and SC, and that has just been very, very helpful. There are a lot of learning intentions and success criteria throughout the year, and our coaches have been doing their best to supply us with as much as they possibly could give us.
I appreciate how CVUSD's instructional framework has brought alignment and coherence across the classrooms. The focus on clarity, routines, engagement, it's elevated teacher practice and student outcomes. I think teacher clarity has had a great impact on our school. It's helped streamline lesson planning by anchoring instruction around clear learning intentions and success criteria, and that supports purposeful instruction and consistent expectations for our students, even across classrooms and grades. At the beginning of the year, learning intentions and success criteria felt very procedural, and now it's just become an embedded part of planning and instruction, and it supports intentionality and student understanding. I think students are more engaged because they understand the purpose of each lesson now. They're more confident in assessing their own progress, and the learning intentions and success criteria have brought focus and clarity to instruction, ensuring that lessons are goal-oriented and that assessments align with the intended outcomes.
Yo estoy aprendiendo a observar la tierra. Muy bien.
Hey, can you read it?
I can use models, number lines, and place value strategies to solve division problems.
Yes, we are in the process of doing that right now, especially with our lesson that we're going to do today, which we are going to be using more models for.
As an assistant principal here at Coral Mountain Academy, I've had the opportunity to observe classrooms and teaching styles, and I've noticed a great positive impact with the implementation of our learning intentions and success criteria. And I noticed that there's a clarity of purpose and expectations among the lessons. There's an increased ownership of lessons and learning on the student's part and the teacher's part as well. There's active participation and motivation in the classroom. Students seem to be more engaged and are taking that next step in their learning journey here at Coral Mountain Academy. I've also noticed that it has improved the teacher-student communication, and that it's a great positive impact to see. It's also helping to foster the growth mindset in students, teachers, and our Coral Mountain community as a whole, with parents as well.
We know we're successful because we provide lesson clarity. At Coral Mountain, we deliver instruction through a powerful and intentional gradual release of responsibility model. In each lesson, you'll see our students move from teacher input, I do, to structured practice, we do, then on to collaborative learning, you do together, and finally to confident independence, you do on your own. Today we're going to have a gradual release lesson. We're going to have our lesson in 4 parts. So starting here, the first part of our lesson, I am going to be doing all the working and thinking. It's mostly the teacher thinking aloud and showing you and modeling how to do the work. In the next phase of gradual release, we are going to do it. We are working together as a class, and I'm going to be asking for your input and your thinking for the answers. After that, we're going to work on our next phase, which is you do it together. And now take a look. Who's talking in this phase? Your partner, you and your partner. If you're working with your partner and talking with your partner, does that mean it's going to be a quiet time or a noisy time? It's going to be a noisy time. I do want to hear you guys discussing. And then the last phase of our lesson is going to be you doing the work on your own. So you're going to be doing your own thinking and your own writing to see if you already can do what we've practiced together in the different phases. So what do you notice about the size of the teacher as we go from phase to phase? I love your vocabulary, and I love what you said. The teacher is becoming more distant to give you the space to try it on your own, to release the learning responsibility to you. And the size of the students are getting bigger because you're going to be expected to do more of the work on your own.
I met with the math coach, Mrs. Burke, and we had a discussion and planned around gradual release. Most of the gradual release steps I have followed, but after planning with Mrs. Burke, I tend to plan my lesson following the gradual release steps. This has really helped me provide all the tasks within the lesson for student engagement amongst themselves, which is an area I needed more practice in. I see that my students enjoy interacting with each other. And now when I see Ms. Burke, I tell her, hey, guess what? I did all the steps in gradual release. So it was very exciting being able to see how one step went to the next and to the next, and for the kids to see them improve in their academics.
The stages of gradual release is something that I have always depended on as a teacher, right from my very earliest days of teaching 21 years ago. Because the framework outlines that as our primary way of delivering instruction, I'm very comfortable with it. And so I just really enjoy it. And so thank you for making it the official the official way that we do instruction.
I have a silly story about the gradual release model. So I took a page from Mr. Varga's book. He's an amazing baker, and he treats the staff to these amazing brownies that he bakes each month. And I found that every single person in the school knew exactly when those brownies were going to be here. Why? Because he posted the notice in the restroom. So everyone was bound to see it sometime during the day. So I took a page from his book and I posted the gradual release of responsibility steps and the roles for student and teacher in the restrooms. And just silly, but I know staff has nothing better to do while they're in there but read it. So maybe that has contributed to all of our staff knowing so well the different phases of gradual release. Something else that I think is very cool is that Ms. Burke and I provided every teacher with a gradual release poster that they could use. And as time went on, people began to make the posters their own. We saw them cut apart to be more linear. Teachers started asking for posters that had their Bitmoji or looked like them. Then teachers wanted help creating gradual release posters that matched the theme of their classroom. So we've gotten to see them change over time. And now teachers are completely running with it and making them their own.
But I really like I do best. And that's because I'm kind of a control freak. And so I really love introducing topics to the kids and teaching them how to do it and, seeing their interested looks. And sometimes I get an aha moment when I'm doing it. And I don't know, I just like being the sage on the stage. And so I do is my favorite. I would guess that my students' favorite phase of gradual release is the we do together. So that way they get to work with a partner and they're not all on their own trying to figure out by themselves. Collaborative conversations have had an incredibly good impact. At the beginning of the school year, I had kids that would not talk not only to me, but they wouldn't even talk to their peers. But through structured conversation or collaborative conversation, the kids get to open up more. And there's one thing I've discovered over the last 20 years of teaching is the best tutor for the child is their peer. And that really, really helps them succeed or at least get closer to success.
My favorite phase of gradual release is you do together because I get to observe students collaborate with one another and informally check for understanding while I walk around and listen in and facilitate student discourse.
And then 14 plus 10 is 24.
Oh, yes.
What'd you get from it?
Wait.
How do you understand?
No, it's
7. My favorite part of gradual release is the you do with your partner phase. This phase allows me to see if the students were able to understand the content given. It also allows for the students that may not have understood completely to learn the information from another peer in their own kid-friendly language.
I do want to hear you having a conversation. So you should not just get started on your own. I want to hear words like, I think this is a piece of text evidence, or I noticed in the text. I also want to hear things like, oh, I know about that because of my prior knowledge. And I also want you to discuss the answer.
Highlight up and down, laughing and crying at the same time. My eyes widen.
What does that help you know with your prior knowledge? What does that mean?
I can infer that Sophie was feeling emotional. That Sophie was feeling excited. I can infer that Sophie was feeling excited.
As an interventionist of nearly 20 years, I think my favorite phase of gradual release is the you do independently, because that gives me the opportunity to pull small groups and offer support to those students that need a little more scaffolding. I think we are ready to move on to our last stage of gradual release. So remember that last stage is you do by yourself. But before you do, I'm gonna have you show me a finger to represent your confidence level. If you gave me a number 1, I want you to come join me at the back table. So I'm gonna read you guys a small passage, and I want you to help me infer. Remember, we're not gonna hear the answer right there in the text, so we're gonna be looking for evidence to help us know the answer. Tanya went to the store to buy a new ball. She kicked her black and white ball around after she got it. What kind of sport does Tanya play? I heard soccer. Now, I didn't say she played soccer, so how did you know that? What was the clue? She bought a ball. What specifically about the ball helped you know it was like a soccer ball and not a football or a baseball or a volleyball?
Because it was white.
She kicked it, right? And what kind of ball do you kick?
It was white and
soccer ball. And what color?
It was white and black.
It was white and black. So even though it never said that it was a soccer ball, using that text evidence that something she kicked and it was black and white, you're able to use your prior knowledge about black and white balls you kicked and make your inference.
Well, I enjoy actually each phase of gradual release because every step helps my students to become independent learners.
My favorite way to check for understanding is the thumb up, thumb middle, thumb down. I can get a whole lot of information with very little movement, and it's quick. And then for the kids that give me a thumb middle, I can address them immediately. I love doing that as my way to check for understanding.
I think the most convenient way to check for understanding is by giving thumbs up or thumbs down. But my favorite would probably be IXL quizzes because it gives me instant feedback on how my students are doing.
All right, a couple things I like about the use of equity sticks would be the promoting fairness, engagement, and accountability in the classroom, ensuring all students participate. Instead of calling on the same hands, equity sticks create an inclusive environment where every student has a chance to contribute. Random selection removes unconscious bias, things like that, and builds confidence and risk-taking with the students. For students who are hesitant to participate, these tools normalize making mistakes and sharing ideas in a safe, supportive environment. And teachers can also scaffold responses as needed, allowing students to feel successful, even if they struggle with an answer. It also creates a culture of accountability. When students know their names might be drawn, they're more likely to stay engaged with the lesson, making the classroom a space of shared responsibility for learning.
Equity sticks have been a lifesaver for me because oftentimes, there are kids that want to answer every single question. And in my class, I have to actually put a limit on those children. And so Equity Sticks allows me to do that. It allows me to give those kids who want to answer everything a quick excuse that they understand. They understand, oh, okay, I can't answer every single question. And so who are you going to pick? Well, easy, Equity Stick, there we go. That's how I like to use them.
We know we're successful because we excel in lesson delivery. We integrate instructional scaffolds and supports. At CMA, we believe all students can achieve when given the right tools. That's why we embed instructional scaffolds and supports into every lesson.
Right, the most meaningful way of using thinking maps. Well, as an elementary school principal, I see thinking maps as a powerful tool for helping students organize their thoughts, deepen their understanding, and make meaningful connections across subjects. One of the most meaningful ways I encourage teachers to use thinking maps is to scaffold student learning and support critical thinking in all content areas. For example, with writing instruction, the flow map helps students sequence events in narratives or outline steps in explanatory piece. And reading a double bubble map might allow students to compare and contrast characters, themes, or text. In math, the tree map can be used to categorize problem-solving strategies. Across all subjects, thinking maps provide a consistent visual framework that builds independence and metacognition in students.
So for me, the most meaningful way that I use thinking maps in my teaching is to help my students learn their letters and the letter names and words that begin with those letters.
Okay, the most meaningful way I use thinking maps is in science. There are tons of opportunities to show sequence of events, parts to whole, and then cause and effect. I love using thinking maps during science, and it's really great because it gives the kids some sort of graphic to remember the information by, because those science stories can get really wordy sometimes. Okay, so the thinking map my students like the most, I believe, is the circle map. And it's probably the circle map because it's the one we do the most, because in our writing, we do a lot of brainstorming. A lot of my kids are using it to brainstorm other things. I mean, I even saw one of my students using a thinking map to brainstorm what she wanted to draw in VAPA class. So I do believe the circle map is their favorite.
We know we're successful because we integrate instructional scaffolds and supports. At CMA, we focus on instructional priorities. We stay focused on what matters most, our instructional priorities. This includes rigorous attention to foundational skills, literacy, and numeracy across all grades.
All right, friends. We're going to play our blending game. Remember, our blending game is when we put sounds together to make words. So I'm going to do it first. Then we'll do a few together. And if there's anyone feeling brave that wants to raise their hand, we'll do a few where you can try it on your own, okay? Okay. Are you guys ready to do some together? Everybody get your mouth ready. Here's our sounds. Tell me. 10. Like I have 10 fingers.
Goat.
Look at that first sound again.
Coat.
Good. Which pattern did they use? Tell me the letters.
O-A.
Good. Which one is coat?
Coat.
Very good. So you let me know, where do you hear the sound, in the middle or the end? And then we'll sort our word according to where you hear it. One, middle. Okay, the word is loaf. Think about where you hear that sound so you know which pattern to use.
We're starting at 7 and we're ending at 21. Ready? Go ahead, Ray. 7, 14, 21. 7, 14, 21. 7, 14, 21. Okay, we're down to 2. It's Ray and Zachariah.
Another instructional priority of ours at CMA is the use of Lexile and Quantile data. We engage students in meaningful data chats, set personalized goals, and celebrate growth every step of the way.
A little bit about Lexile and Quantile and data chats and student growth. So they've had a powerful impact here at CMA. It creates ownership of learning, motivation, self-awareness by making progress tangible, personalized, and goal-driven. So a couple things: increasing student ownership of learning. Students are engaging one-on-one, small group, data chats. They see their progress in real numbers. Individualized goals with students based on Lexile and Quantile helps them understand where they are, where they need to be, and how to get there. Some of the teachers use data folders, goal sheets, or digital dashboards, and that helps empower the students, take responsibility for their own learning journey. And then boosting motivation to learn. When students see their progress, they get excited about learning. Growth mindset is always reinforced here. Students learn that progress happens over time and that effort leads to improvement. Setting short-term and long-term goals. I would say, for example, I want to increase my Lexile by 50 this quarter or semester. I want to move up to more complex books. Makes success feel attainable. When students own their growth, they push themselves knowing that effort directly impacts their progress.
My name is Victoria and my Lexile is BR400, and when I grow up I want to be a doctor.
My name is Eduardo and my Lexile level is 905. I need to know my Lexile level so I can read books and they're not hard for me. My Lexile level is in Purple Advanced. My Quantile level is 595.
My name is Alessandra Quintana and my Quantile score in fall was 875. Now it's 940. I improved by 65 and I want to be an engineer when I grow up.
This is Macias. My Lexile score in the fall was 875. Now it is 925 points.
Why is it important to know your Lexile level?
It is important to know your Lexile level. You could know what's your level on when you go to the library and the right book to choose.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to become an athlete. When I grow up, I want to become an athlete, and that career requires a Lexile of 1,380, and the quantile level is 1,200.
Why is it important to know your Lexile level?
It is important to know your Lexile level because if someone offers you a book, you need to know if it's too easy or too hard for you.
What is your quantile score?
My quantile score is 1,070. My quantile score in the fall was 945. Now it is 1,070, and I grew by 125 points.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I want to be a doctor, and the career requires a Lexile level of 1,620 and the quantile level of 1,451.
I celebrate Lexile and quantile growth by giving them a hearty good job and being very excited when I bring up their scores and I show them the comparison, because I feel excitement is infectious. And so if you are excited about their achievement, then they get excited about their achievement.
Celebrating students' success on Lexile quantile growth at CMA is huge. So some of the things we do here, school-wide recognition, we have growth walls and bulletin boards. The coaches here have been amazing setting those up and celebrating all the progress the students have made. We add them to the morning announcements and do shout outs, recognize students for reaching new milestones or huge jumps in their Lexile and quantile score or meeting personal goals. Also different certificates and awards for the students that have also shown increases. Encouraging teamwork and goal setting.
Here at Coral Mountain Academy, I have had the opportunity to go through different classrooms and see different ways that teachers and students are having data chats and communicating their learning intentions and setting goals for their next steps in learning. The student brings up a folder and it has their current standings and their current Lexile and quantile levels, and I've listened to teachers and students go through and express, this is what my goal is, this is what I'm doing to get there, and I expect that I'll meet that goal by the end of the year or by the end of the second trimester. Our students are very well aware of their Lexile and quantile levels. Seeing that and witnessing that firsthand from kindergarten all the way through our sixth graders here at Coral Mountain Academy, I could see that ownership in learning and striving to do better, and very happy and excited to continue on their journey.
We know we're successful because we focus on instructional priorities. Perhaps the greatest strength of Coral Mountain Academy is our collective efficacy. We believe in each other, we believe in our students, and we believe that together we can ensure learning happens for every child every day. Our staff collaborates constantly in PLCs, in coaching cycles, in hallway conversations. We're not just a team, we're a united force for student success. We have collective efficacy. At CMA, we lift expectations because we know we can make a difference. We're stronger together. Collaboration is our superpower. We take shared responsibility. Every learner is our learner. We believe in each other and in every student's success. We succeed as a team. We celebrate each other's successes. We know we're successful because we have collective efficacy. Here at Coral Mountain Academy, we don't leave learning to chance. We design it, we support it, we celebrate it. Because here, we cause learning to happen. We know we're successful because we cause learning.
CMA on the way! Go Cougars!